did.
Everybody ready?
Oh, yeah, that's why I was on Zoom a
I
couple
thought
of
you
days.
got disposed to somebody else.
Ready,
I
Miss
didn't know
Joan?
you had it.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I got it.
Welcome to the October 6th, 2020 Board of Commissioner meetings. Please silence cell phones, pagers, and other electronic communication devices. Agendas are located at the back of the chambers. We also have speaker request forms. If you'd like to speak today, please grab a speaker request from the back of the bookcase and hand it to Miss Holly to the left of the dais. We will have the moment of silent reflection and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Miss Holly Hennies today, please.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, we'll have the review and approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by LaCroix. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the employee recognition of emergency management, Alexa Weiss, Mark Enright, and Dustin Mullet. Miss Gary. Mr. Drews, please.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the South Dakota Emergency Management Association, they are recognizing, first of all, Achievement Award for Dustin Willett. And we appreciate all your service, Dustin. You've done a great job. This has been a little different year for you, for all of us, but you've done an exceptional job. Just like to share a couple things relative to this Achievement Award. It's awarded to a local emergency manager for an outstanding or significant emergency management contribution, including preparation or response to an incident that has occurred within the past South Dakota Emergency Management Association calendar year, September to September, for activities above and beyond day-to-day duties. This goes to Dustin. The Achievement Award for his diligence and dedication navigating in the uncharted territory of incident response over a long duration. Emergency management staff actively worked in the EOC for a total of 100 days, end of March to early July. Many things occurred during that, including the staging and completing the COVID shelter, two different COVID shelters for homeless, plus numerous other things that took place during that period of time. And I would just like to say that they recognized Dustin because he's well known for his quick action and response to incidents in Pennington County. He is technologically savvy and uses this to his advantage to work smarter, not harder, as he supports the incidents in hand. Dustin is highly deserving of the 2020 Achievement Award from the South Dakota Emergency Management Association, and we thank you for your effort, your work, Dustin, and appreciate everything that you and your staff have done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dustin.
So,
Thank you, Dustin.
And thank you, Alexa, for that, sneaking that in. My intent this morning, and I'm humbled and grateful. It's always weird to accept an award when it's part of a team effort, but I'm still very, very humbled and grateful that was done. What I wanted to do this morning was recognize my staff. While they do a fantastic job daily, and currently, this year's been amazing in a number of ways. Not always good, but Mark has earned his South Dakota Emergency Management Association Certified Emergency Manager Advanced. That's a lot of words. But there's a basic emergency manager certification and an advanced certification. It involves years of service in emergency management. It involves being involved in a lead role in exercise and planning. It involves well over 100 hours of training and coursework that Mark has been working on. And so again, I just wanted to take the opportunity at that same banquet, the same conference, Mark was recognized before the Emergency Management Association as having earned his Certified Emergency Manager Advanced. And so I wanted to present Mark with that. So thank you very much, Mark. We'll let them roast us on social media.
Congratulations,
I
Mark.
promise we'll use hand sanitizer. And then it also, it's awesome to have an actual recognition outside again of their daily work. But Alexa White, and again, this was, look, there's even hand sanitizer right here. Alexa White was recognized as a Rapid City Rush and Rushmore Honda home team hero. And she was actually nominated by one of the people that we had working in the EOC for that 100 days. So one of the people that we brought in to work in the EOC recognized Alexa for everything she was doing, not only with the EOC and emergency management and for Pennington County and our community, but what she was doing for her church and what she was doing for her family. So it spanned, it encompassed basically her heart of servitude to all the organizations and her family. And so I thought that was a very, very deserving recognition, and I wanted to highlight that before the commission today as well. So I just wanted to recognize the incredible job that my staff does day in, day out, and the great people that they are. So
Thank you, Dustin.
There you go.
Thank you, Mark, Dustin, Alexa.
I also want to point out that all three of these are now certified emergency management advanced, and which is quite a credit to their office. So appreciate that. Appreciate each and every one of you for what you do. One of the things I didn't mention, and many people got to see Mark during the June election because he was one of them that was out there at the polling places helping set those up and making sure they were safe. So we appreciate that also from the staff. So thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to say as well is Pepper is part of their team. She works behind the scenes. She's over there taking pictures, but she works very hard to keep this team and our fire service board in line with what needs to happen. So we also appreciate you, Miss Pepper, when you do all the things that you do for Pennington County and our teams of emergency management and emergency response teams. So thank you too. Congratulations to you
Absolutely.
all. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you all.
Next, the Board of Commissioners use the consent calendar to act on non-controversial and routine items. The consent agenda is acted upon by motion and voted the board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at request of board members or citizens. Ms. Holly Hennies, I just read what you usually read. To make it easy on you today, that's why I did it. Ms. Holly,
Bless
thank
your
you.
heart, thank you.
You look very nice today, Ms.
Thank
Holly.
you. All right, today's consent agenda contains the following items. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of September 17th, 2020. Approval of the minutes from the special meeting of September 22nd, 2020. Number 8 is to acknowledge the 2020 polling place list as the official polling locations for the election year 2020 as submitted by the auditor. Number 9 is to approve the resolution to discharge county liens of deceased persons. Number 10 is authorization to cancel the list of outstanding checks over a year old and remit funds totaling $7,913.96 to the Office of the State Treasurer. And finally, number 11 is to acknowledge the notice of intent to conduct a raffle by the Scenic Volunteer Fire Department.
At this time, is there any members from the public who wish to pull any items 6 through 11? Not, is there any commissioner that would like to pull any items 6 through 11? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So move.
Moved by LaCroy,
Second.
second by Drews. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 12 on the regular agenda items. Ms. Janet Saylor, please. The 2020 budget update and 10% budget reduction exemption.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you can see from your packet that I have requested that the 10% reduction directive from the Commissioners be left in my budget at this point. We have spent, the Treasurer's Office, as you know, does very little overtime. This year, we've already done $25,216 worth of overtime. And with taxes coming up and the amount of work left, I'm sure there will be more overtime than that. We are putting together our requests for COVID to reimburse us of the overtime. But as you all know, that is not coming back into the budget. It will go into the general fund. I realize that I can come in and ask for a supplement in November, I did not want to do that. I've never asked for a supplement since I've been here. And at that time of the year, we are very busy for me to have to sit down and take a couple days out to go over to ask for a supplement that has to be in by the 1st of November. So I would request that the commissioners at this point leave that 10% in the budget. I will not spend any more of it than I have to. And that way I don't have to come in and ask for a supplement from you. Also, as far as the call center, we now have 3 people back working in the call center. At the time, we had 2. We have updated that as of Monday. There are 3 working in the call center. There still are some things that we need to purchase for that. We need to get another copier back there because we find the employees are having to send out many requests for titles from other states, from lien holders for people, and they're constantly running back and forth to the fax machines and the copy machines, which is a waste of time when they could have one in there. So we are looking at getting another copier for that call center. And it seems to be going well. We've had a few glitches in the phone system, but it looks like we are getting those worked out. IT is working with us as far as some problems with the headsets. We don't know if it's the headset itself, if it's the location where they're working from, but we are on top of that. So we're working very closely with them for that. So I'll stand by for any questions the commissioners have.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner DeSanto?
I just want to state that when you look at what Janet's asking for and what she's done and accomplished up there in that office to better serve our public, I think that it's appropriate to go forward with this. Everything that they're doing is to basically make it so that the public waits less time, is served more quickly, more efficiently, and that's frankly what the public wants from what I hear. I would say that a lot of people talk about how long they got to wait to do this and how long they got to wait to do that. And so this is going to shorten the amount of time that people are waiting in line. Getting those out-of-state tags handled in a separate area from the local people. I just think that it's a good idea. I'm going to make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews?
I agree totally with what Mark has said. In addition, Janet's office, is a collection point for school district, for the city, for the county, for the property taxes. So really critical operation when you're making the collections on behalf of several governmental entities. In addition to that, I believe that the overtime that is required and going to be required should all be coming back because of the COVID,
Right.
coming back to the general fund through this entire operation. So I have no issue at all with approving this motion.
Madam Chair.
Mark, would you like to make that motion, and Ross Connect one more time?
Oh, sure. I would move to acknowledge the 2020 Treasurer's Office budget status and to exempt the budget from the 10% budget reduction directive in the amount of $144,061.
Moved by DeSanto,
And I seconded it.
second by Ross Connect. Commissioner Ross Connect?
Say, Janet, what time of the year was it when I went up to your office and we went into those different rooms where the mail was just piled up and piled up and piled up?
That was in March.
So I'll have to come up again this March and see if I can tell the difference.
Also, Chairman Hadcock,
Yes.
I would like to tell the commissioners that I have been working with the sheriff's office. We had a meeting with the auditor's office. Holly was present. We've made some changes. If you came upstairs this morning, we've separated the people in line per the commissioner's request so that people weren't standing outside. We've made one line on the left-hand side. It's not real wide. It is wheelchair accessible. The left-hand side, we have 3 major windows open. They're only doing renewals and paying current property taxes in that line. The line closest to the window is all title transfers. So you're gonna see more people in the title transfer line. Yesterday, we had some complaints because the people in the title transfer line were waiting longer than the people in the renewal line. And then down the middle, we put an exit. So everybody exits out the same way. So we're trying to get more people in so that it doesn't clog up the front for the auditor's office when they get busy. And you might get a few calls on it, for people that have to wait longer for the title transfers. But if there's no one in the current tax line or the renewal line, we will call people over to transfer titles to those 3 faster windows.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner, just, one minute. So, just one question, Janet. The adopted budget was $1,000,004, right?
Yes,
And you still have 606,000 left in this budget?
that's correct. But Deb, we have, for your information, we still have all our searches to do for our tax deeds. Those will all have to be done in December. We'll still have all our tax notices, our delinquent notices, and everything to send out yet for all of that.
Okay.
I'm not asking Commissioner to keep the money. I'm very frugal. I will not spend one more dime than I need. I just don't
I'm not
wanna-
saying you're doing anything wrong, Janet. I'm just saying that there's 3 months left and there's 606,000 left in your budget still. I just wondered, if that was, you still needed the 144 plus the 606, which is, well, I don't know, 8 something, 8,
If
6, 8 something.
750,000 total.
And
Go ahead,
at this
Commissioner.
time, are you usually, just a question, Janet, are you usually up or down on that 606, or is it?
We have a lot of things that we still have to do that we haven't done
Right,
because of the COVID.
right. I guess,
I'm not opposed if you want to take that money now. I'm just saying that I really don't want to have to sit down and work my budget this month if
Right.
I need more money.
well,
It's-
I'm
it's-
not saying you're doing anything wrong, Janet. I'm just saying that to me, 606,000 left and 3 months left in the year. I'm not a treasurer. I don't know what it costs in the next 3 months to do what you do. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
that you need another
Yes,
144,000.
no, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay,
And if you don't want to put in the whole 44,000, that's fine. I just don't want to come back and ask for money. But I will, if that's the commissioner's wish.
For me, Janice, you're not doing anything wrong. I'll keep saying that. What I'm saying is, I don't know how you spend your budget by the end of the year. So you have 3 months left. You have 606,000 in that budget. You need the other 144 in order to finish your budget so you don't supplement. What is $606,000 spent on in the next 3 months that would deplete that and need another 144?
I have 2 more employees. We're hoping to have those final 2 employees hired by the end of this week. We have our tax notices to send out. We have no idea what that's going to be yet. Our delinquent notices, I'm sure, are going to be up this year. We have our title search fees. I can go back and I can figure that for you for the next meeting, how many delinquent certificates we're going to be selling or how many we're going to have to search. I can go back and figure that out. The delinquents, I can't tell you 100% for sure at this point, Deb,
So
until the end
Janet,
of October.
I don't know how your office works, but, and maybe I should have asked this beforehand so you could have been prepared as well, but, I will come in after this meeting and vote for this today, and then you can kind of show me, because I don't know why those would cost extra money or why those cost money, because I don't know the process in which you're talking about, like delinquent taxes, or why does that cost us money when, you know what I mean? It makes us lose money, but it doesn't cost us money.
It costs us money. Deb, we have to send out delinquent notices to everybody who has delinquent property taxes, plus everybody that has a mobile home that has a lien on it. Those all have to go out like by the 3rd of November to every taxpayer. So that's an additional cost that we have. The tax notices have to go out in December.
Okay,
Those aren't figured into this. But I have no problem breaking that down for you
okay.
if you want to defer this until the next meeting.
And
That's,
just for clarification, that 144,000, that is part of the 600. It's
Okay.
not in addition, it's part of, because we didn't go back and adjust the budgets in Springbrook
Okay,
to reflect that 10%. So it's included, so it is not over and above by any means.
okay. So it's not over and above, it's
No,
just, and
no,
that,
it's
I appreciate
sitting
that.
in that 600. And I think what Janice just is saying is her budget, her expenses, the last quarter of the year are significantly higher than they are at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Because all of her responsibilities fall at the end of the year after the tax cycle.
That
So you're
makes,
gonna see a lot higher expenses coming forward that she's just trying to avoid the paperwork shuffle and the supplement after the fact.
okay.
When she knows it's coming.
So when, bottom line is, so you knew the 1,000,004 was gonna be used no matter what, you'd probably have to supplement. It was in the 606. And that's what I needed to know, Janet, because
and I'm
also,
sorry, Commissioner, because I didn't realize that it hadn't been taken out yet.
No, it has not.
okay.
So that's my fault.
Thank you. Nope, you're fine, Janet,
Holly.
just, you're fine. Janet, you are very frugal, but, it's also something, when you see that big a number, that if someone was to say, wow, they have 606,000 left in there,
I understand.
what would that be used for? And Holly clarified it too, because if you used them, there's a 606 left, there's 1,000,004 in your budget, and most of that money comes out at the end of the year, not the beginning, then I understand that it's probably gonna deplete that because you already have depleted the first half of it, or pretty much most of that money already. So, thank you for that clarification. Commissioner Ross Connect,
Gary.
I'm sorry, Commissioner DeSanto.
Oh, I was just going to explain exactly what Holly just explained, so I don't
Okay,
need to explain.
Commissioner LaCroix.
Thank you. Janet, thank you. I mean, I'm glad we got that all clarified.
Me too.
But, I think the good side about what happened this year is, and Holly, you've done a good job, and Janet and your teams have done a good job. You guys worked really hard on coming up with different things to make things work up there faster. When I seen you did the 2 lines, I really thought you guys were on it with that, because that helps the public know what's going on. There are differences between who's in line doing what and things. And I really appreciate you said when one line gets down, they're pulling people from the other one before. But I mean, the work that you guys done is amazing what's going on. And I think we've learned a lot this year. Everybody has. And I think it's going to be good, because you guys have learned to learn and adopt and switch and move and keep things going. And that's what the public wants. And the goal that you've always had is being public's number one and service is number one. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. And I appreciate the commission allowing Holly to work with me, because we had a lot of last minute things to do as far as doing signs. Her and Joan jumped in, did signs, the sheriff's office, Cindy, everybody had a lot of good ideas. And I appreciate the fact that you allowed her to assist us in all that.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Janet. We do have a motion by DeSanto, second by Ross Connect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Janet. Next, we have item B, Ms. Janet, with uncollectible mobile homes.
Uncollectible mobile homes. I've attached the list of the 2019 mobile home distress warrants that were issued to the sheriff on March 16th. There were 439 distress warrants issued, and only 10 are being deemed as uncollectible. The list has been attached for the commissioners. I am submitting this uncollectible mobile home warrant to the commissioners for examination, and your declaration that the following mobile homes be deemed uncollectible by the board. The total uncollectible amount is $1,722.83. And I think Willie's here from the sheriff's office if you'd like to speak to him. His team does a very, very good job on collecting distress warrants.
Ms.
Madam
Janet,
Chair,
do we have a motion,
I'll
please?
make that motion.
Motion by Ross Connect,
Second,
second by Drews.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews, please.
As we look at this, I mean, as Jana pointed out, there's only 10. The average is less than $200 on these
Yes.
for a total of the 1722. Sheriff's Office did a great job in collecting on
Madam Chair,
these distress warrants.
Commissioner Ross Connect.
where do these mobile homes go?
Billy?
I know, Willie?
Can tell you.
Do they got a mobile home park
Okay.
somewhere that I don't know about?
Boy, do you know for
A
sure?
lot of them,
Grills?
we tried to sell. The sheriff's office tried to sell them, and they couldn't get a bid on them. If you notice,
The great mobile home park in the sky.
one of these distress warrants, they sold on June 29th. There were no bidders due to the fact that the home is in extremely poor condition, and they can't locate any assets to levy on the warrant. June 29th, they had another one in poor condition. Most of these mobile homes are in bad shape. And sometimes they hook onto them and move them and drop them off at places just to get them off their property.
Yep, I do.
And then we find them after the fact.
But will they take them at the Rapid City dump? Will they take
Yes,
them
but
mobile
I
home?
think if the sheriff takes them there, I think the county has to pay for it. Is that not correct, Willie?
Madam
I'd be
Chair.
curious what the cost is to take one to the dump.
Shannon said he'll equalize them and put them on his land.
I don't think you want these
Madam
mobile
Chair.
homes.
Commissioner LaCroix.
I've just gone through this. In fact, I got to go up there and sign the title for one previously. We'd had one that would have been abandoned, and the owner died. Well, Janet knows, and we had to going through all the proper channels and doing the work. I think it took about 6 months with this, but I think the bill was for the landfill was right around, I want to say 2,000 or
Don't know.
1,000, somewhere around there. I've got the receipt for it, and that's with us tearing it apart and having it hauled away in dumpsters. I don't think you can just. I'm not for sure, but I don't think you can just haul them out there. And a lot of times you probably don't want to because you don't know if they're going to make it. So
I know we had one, Lloyd, that said at the highway department, Mark, for quite some time. And did that go to the dump? You don't know what that cost us, though.
I can send it. I'll know today because Annette's got the bill up there. I'm sure it was umpteen dumpsters full, and then we still had the frame to take.
But this mobile home was owned by somebody. They hired somebody. They took it to the truck stop, dropped it off.
Yeah,
We couldn't find it, found a serial number on it, and found out who the owner was, who is now deceased.
yep.
So for 6 months, we've been going through the process trying to get that mobile home taken care of, which, by the way, they have to pay the taxes on it, even though it was dumped off on their property, and they don't own it in order to tear it apart and take it to the dump.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Me neither.
So after the flood in '72, a lot of these homes came for temporary housing. You're probably going to see a wave of 1972 mobile homes go through your department
Well, I hope not. The sheriff won't be
as
happy.
these mobile home parks start aging.
We do have a motion by Ross Connect, second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank
Thank
you, Ms.
you.
J.
Did he need to read all that? The people's names or not? Or
No.
just okay.
I don't, we never had.
No, that's okay. Thank you. Next is All Things COVID by Dustin Willett.
Sounds like a kid's library reading time. So, good morning, Commission. Dustin Willett, Pennington County Emergency Manager. I won't take too much time up front, and then I'll just be happy to stand for questions. Data is what data is, and so we are seeing an increased number of infections move through our community. We've expected this for almost a year now, at least 3/4 of a year. And we talked about the fact that, things tend to start, whether it's infections or whether it's economic drivers, we tend to see things start on the coasts, and it takes a while to make it to the Midwest. And there's some really interesting graphs that the CDC's put out, dividing the country into regions, and when each region, the West, the Northeast, the South, Southwest, the Southeast, the Midwest, when different areas of the country were peaking in their COVID-19 infections. And it would appear from these numbers that over the last month and where we're at right now tends to be the looking at the graphs, looks like you could interpolate that to be the Midwest is peaking. The infection is moving through multiple Midwest states, basically, as we speak. That being said, and so much speculation and so many different testing regimes that it's really hard to say what data specifically means. The data points are the data points, and we have to interpret them the best that we can. I will say that there's a lot of estimates saying that we're probably seeing maybe 1 out of 10 cases that we actually test. So they're saying the numbers that you see, probably 10 times more than that in the community. But again, these are best guesses by smart people, by epidemiologists, but they're saying you're probably seeing, a tenth of what's really out there. That if that holds true for Pennington County, I think one thing, because we see the headlines of records and the most and this doom and gloom, and certainly it's tragic for the families that it affects and the people that it affects, but at 450 active cases, it's less than 0.5% of Pennington County's population. That's 0.4% of our population. If we say 10 times that we're not seeing that are probably out there, we're still only at 4% of Pennington County's population. So not to diminish the suffering and the morbidity and mortality that this disease process racks on people. It's significant and it's real, but in a county, I think that our latest population numbers are like 113,000 in Pennington County. So 113,000 people, when we're seeing 450 active cases, I think it's important to keep that in perspective. Again, we get into predictions. People are really interested in predictions. Monument Health has been and continues to be a better and better and better partner through this. Their data is transparent. Their leadership is transparent. They conduct calls every Friday where they are open and honest and take questions, and they don't dodge the questions. They answer the questions up front. Monument Health has been doing a great job. So between CDC and Monument in their prediction models, Monument has a more Monument Health area prediction model. The CDC is interesting because they have 19 different models that they synthesize together to look at different spreads or different predictions. So if we look at all those 19 models that the CDC has for Pennington County, at a county level for Pennington County, they show us basically through the middle of October leveling off. It's a model, it's a prediction, who knows, but they show us leveling off. Commissioner Drews posed a question this morning about the census at Monument Health. So Monument Health right now has, I think, 46 COVID positive individuals, which is one less than their high back in June. So we're, again, right there at the most COVID positive patients we've seen in our healthcare system, still far below what they have prepared for. That being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't sneak into this conversation that unless you have a compelling medical reason not to, now is the time to actively go pursue getting your influenza vaccinations. So go get your flu shot. Everybody needs to get their flu shot unless there's a compelling medical reason not to get your flu shot. But please, everybody go get your flu shots. We're moving into that season. The demand of just general hospital services at Monument Health is creating a strain on their ability to serve the public. With the staffing that they have, the space that they have, there's a lot of people using the hospital. COVID is a small part of that, but the community as a whole is really starting to place a strain on Monument Health. So keep yourselves healthy, get your flu shots, and then I would be happy to stand for any questions, and hopefully I have the right data in front of me.
Do we have any information on our flu shots that are coming through? Or do we have,
Yeah, we do.
we can send that out to the employees?
We
Is
are
that
happy,
happening
yes.
soon?
It's been
Okay.
going out, yep.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Drews, please.
So, Dustin, going back to Monument, is the strain on them because people waited for these other procedures and so forth during the early parts of this COVID and now are
Yep.
playing a little bit of catch up and
Delayed care. So
Okay.
that's certainly a one factor that leads into this is people, a lot of elective procedures weren't being done. A lot of people did not want to go into a healthcare facility, so they were delaying care, which means maybe their disease processes, illness, injuries became worse and now require even more to kind of catch up from what that maintenance care would have been. So yes, that's absolutely one of the factors that's leading to our increased numbers globally in the hospital system right now.
And we need to keep in mind that Monument not only serves Pennington County, but they serve 3 times the size of Pennington County in their territory.
Absolutely.
So,
Western South Dakota into Wyoming, Nebraska, it's a large service area.
thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Roskinick.
Dustin, I asked Mark this question, but, somebody's out there and they don't feel well, and you feel hesitant to go any place because they don't want you to come in. So if somebody just wanted to go someplace and get checked without going through a lot of hassle, just walk in, say, "Could you test me?" Mark mentioned the medical center. Are there others?
So I can't speak for the smaller clinics. I don't have a conversation with them on an ongoing, regular basis. So I don't know what the testing protocol or criteria is for all the individual doctors' offices and clinics. I know from a Department of Health CDC guidance and certainly our larger hospital systems, Avera, Sanford, Monument, we're still only testing symptomatic
That's
people. So there still is not a mechanism that I'm aware of to say, I'm concerned and I just want to go get tested. The triage line is still up and running. And if you have, the other thing right now is as we move into flu season, there are so many sniffles, there are so many general malaise that physicians are starting to have to think a little bit more on triage in terms of who really should be tested. So it's not, I think I might have a little bit of a sniffle and I want to get a test. That might not be a good use of that resource in current medical thinking. So I would say the best avenue, there's really hard to stand up here and say, if you have this, you'll get a test, or if you go here, you'll get a test. The best thing to do is to call that triage line and explain what's going on. The other interesting thing, and not to give a plug to Monument over any other healthcare system, but if you go to Monument's webpage, they have a big banner that says COVID information. If you click on COVID information, they've got an automated assistant. So if you think you might have COVID or you're concerned about COVID, you click on a button and it walks you through a series of very specific questions and triages your risk and advises you of appropriate measures to take. And that might be going and getting tested. That might be making a call to another provider. There's several things, but you don't necessarily even have to call and talk to a person. If you want some anonymity as you're working through the symptomology that you're experiencing, you can go to that website and use that automated assistant to kind of get an initial feedback of where your risk category might be and what you might need to do immediately preceding.
So our employees can do that as well.
Anybody, general public, it's a public website.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
just so they know that they can do that and that there's something out there that they can look at, let alone the public. Commissioner LaCroix.
Well, Dustin, thank you for reminding me about the flu shots, because I think at the very beginning of all this, the state and everybody else said, age and risk of people who are high risk with health problems are number one at risk for not only COVID, but also with the flu. So, I mean, I think we've done a very good job. And, up until I think the last 2 weeks, I probably never knew anybody that gotten COVID yet, but yet in the last 2 weeks, I bet you I've gotten 6, and I've been able to interview each one and ask them what their symptoms were, and it affects everybody a little bit different. So, when you first hear of COVID and people talk about death and it's going to do this and do that, and you talk to other people who actually have been diagnosed and having it, it affects everybody a little bit different, but mostly the higher risk and the age are the ones that have the more difficulties with it, So that's where it's coming home with me. And I think, right, I signed up for the flu shot because I think that's number one point to do that. But I want to appreciate your daily or weekly updates on this, and we appreciate it.
The last thing I'll leave you with is again, when it comes to COVID-19, we know a heck of a lot less than what we do know. We still want answers. We still want hard facts, and they just don't exist. It takes years and years of rigorous scientific and epidemiological study to answer the questions that everybody wanted answered 6 months ago. And that's frustrating, and I understand that. I will say that we use, and I think John has some stuff to bring up, we are leveraging generally accepted infection control strategies against a novel pathogen. So when we talk about non-medical cloth face coverings, when we talk about hand sanitizer, when we talk about physical distancing, when we talk about all the mitigation measures that we're doing, just keep in mind that we're talking about infection control in general best practices, because we just don't have the COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 specific information that everybody would obviously want to have to make decisions. So again, any other questions, or
Madam Chair,
thank you for the.
Commissioner Roskinek.
do you think we've reached the peak of the bell curve? I mean, have we finally, are we starting to go down, or are we still going up? But
So one of the talking points that I think is reasonable, again, to reiterate is, and thank you for bringing that up. There's a very important point in what you bring up. And that is, when this response started in our country, there was a lot of media, traditional media, social media buzz about flattening the curve. And everybody had this beautiful bell curve graphic about flattening the curve. So two important things about that. One, we have and continue to flatten the curve, and that's fantastic. The two things, though, are one, it's not a nice, pretty curve like we saw on all the infographics. It's a wave. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. There's a really interesting graph on and we're going back over 100 years, but the 1918 flu pandemic, they have graphed out in terms of when it peaked in different areas and how it did what it did. So there's a misnomer that it's not a bell curve. There's ups and downs and valleys all over the place. So we are currently at a high point. Whether or not we see a downward trend from here, all of the synthesis of the 19 CDC studies shows us for the rest of October kind of plateauing, kind of leveling off in terms of and that number is specifically at the number of new cases per 100,000. Is the metric that they're using for that representation. So in cases, new cases of COVID-19 diagnosed per 100,000 in population, they show Pennington County basically plateauing, maybe decreasing a little bit through the month of October. Whether that holds true or not, I don't know. But I would say that the important things to know are, it's not a pretty curve. It goes up and down and up and down, and those numbers are going to be variable for a long time. But the other thing is the overall objective of lowering our impact on our healthcare system has been very successful and continues to be, as we as a community, individuals and organizations practice increased infection control techniques. So
would you say that Pennington County would be similar to the impact on other countries? I mean, what's going on in Australia and Germany and these other, and China are.
So the problem, and I just have to plead ignorance here, I honestly have not been looking at global numbers relatively recently. I apologize, but I couldn't answer with any. I haven't looked at global numbers in several
Well, the reason
years.
I mentioned that, I got friends in Western Australia, and you can't leave your state in Australia unless you're a truck driver, have a reason. So they're locked down. 7 states are locked down, and Western Australia is not too bad because it's not that densely populated. But Victoria, there's still, I guess, pretty high numbers over in that area.
It's you as executives as decision makers are in an unenviable position of balancing multiple factors. If all you had to do was make a decision based on COVID-19 and there were no other factors, those decisions might not be as tough. But when you have to balance economy and jobs and school and everything that creates a whole community, and COVID is one piece of that, I'm glad it's you on that side of the dais and not me.
Thank you, Dustin. And the bottom line with the curve or anything else, guys, it's 4% of our population is what we're talking when it's peaking and going down and up. So that's not a big percentage. John, you're up, son. Thank you,
Thanks,
Dustin, very
Dustin.
much.
Thanks, Dustin.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Morrow, Pennington County HR.
Wouldn't take your mask off, John.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Thank you,
this
sir.
one's a
Thank
little
you.
slippery, so it'll probably tip over.
Sorry, John.
It's my grandfather's, so, anyway, not an heirloom, but definitely a family treat.
COVID.
So a couple of things I wanted to speak about today, and it really is related directly to COVID. I received a request to speak about this, and actually I'm in agreement. It took me a while to get there. But I'm going to request the commissioners to consider asking employees in this building to wear masks when they're in public areas or in dealing with face-to-face customer transactions, or in a space where they're working where they maybe can't actually physically be at least 6 feet apart. The reason I'm asking that is this, and I'll give you some of the data, and this is all just in the last 6 or 7 weeks. Since we started tracking and granting emergency paid sick leave time, or emergency FMLA, back in May is when we actually had our first requests. Our first positive COVID case on the administrative side of the county occurred 7 weeks ago. Since that, and that wasn't in this building, just in the last 4 weeks, however, we've had 4 positives in this building. 2 within one department, and then a single in 2 other departments. My worry at this point is if we don't have some additional protection measures in place for our employees, you may have a department that will have to be closed. And if we're looking to continuation of public services, that is my primary concern, is to make sure we're still able to be here, still able to provide those services for the public. My other primary concern is the health of our employees. It's not only disruptive to them and their person, their families, their social circles, other organizations that they may be part of. This snowballs very quickly. We were fortunate with a positive that occurred with a family member last week, in that the department person that works in the building actually was wearing a mask after they had heard concerns about their family member being ill. And because they had worn a mask, actually prohibited the spread of potential virus to other employees in their department. Should that have spread within that department, you would have developers, contractors, other people in town that would be highly irate because we would have to shut down for 2 weeks. We have other departments in this building that if they were to close or be disrupted in any manner, you're not going to be able to continue the revenue streams coming into the county. And I'm speaking of the treasurer's office. We've done everything we can to help make sure that that office can maintain their business model. We've met multiple times with Janet and her team to try to discover other options for providing those services. They're an office that can't work remotely. They don't have state systems that allow them to work outside of their current office. We have an employee on the 2nd floor that has COVID. We have. At this point, it's not spread to anybody else. The only thing the mask does, and again, I'm not a big fan of masks. They're hot, they're miserable, they interfere with communication, but they do protect others from anything that the wearer might have. They don't necessarily protect the person wearing it from getting anything, but they help reduce and minimize the spread of things that one person may have from that spreading to other people. We're already requiring many departments, many of the department heads, the elected officials are requiring masks to be worn. We have departments that are requiring the citizens wear masks. But we still have other departments in this building that aren't wearing them and are actually going to the departments that require masks without them. At the minimum, that should be a requirement that there be an understanding. If the department mandates it, everybody has to wear them. It's not pick and choose. It's not, well, we don't do it in our department, so I'm not doing it. Again, I don't have any additional data. I don't have anything to prove that these are the be-all, end-all. In my mind, they're just a start. It's something we can do to help maintain what's happening and to reduce the potential for this growing beyond anything we can control. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Madam Chair.
So John, just one question. So if someone decides to not wear a mask in their department, do they get fired? Do they get sent home?
I would hope that there'd actually be a disciplinary action taken to correct that. If we say that masks are required in this building, we as the employer can make that positive. The city of Sioux Falls just did last night. The mayor and the medical professionals from Sanford and Navarra spoke, and he's mandating it for all the city employees.
Okay.
And again, we're not Sioux Falls. We're not. We don't have the population. We don't have that business model. But I know that there's proven science that these can help minimize spread. And it's something that we can do easily. Is it fun? No. But it's something that I think we can take as a step to help protect our employees and protect our operation.
Thank you. Commissioner Drews.
Madam Chair, thank you. I'm not in favor of mandating from this dais.
Sure.
Have not been from the very beginning. Continue not to be in favor of that. At the same time, I understand we have several separately elected officials that operate out of this facility and out of county buildings. I think they have every right, if they want to adopt that as part of their policy within their offices, they have the right to do that. I think that any employee, I wouldn't discourage any employee from wearing a mask that wants to wear a mask, but I just cannot support mandating all employees needing to do that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner DeSanto.
I'm in agreement with Gary. I think we made it pretty clear about 2 months ago, I believe, that each department head had the option of requiring that. Now, I have no problem, John, with disciplinary action if that department head has requested or required masks, that if somebody won't abide by that, then there should be disciplinary action. I also agree that if someone's going from one department to another and that other department requires a mask, that they be wearing a mask when they enter that department, that the department head has required a mask. But as far as mandating it countywide, I'm with Gary on that as
Madam
well.
Chair,
Commissioner Roskinek.
I would agree with, if a customer comes in and wants to do a one-on-one with an employee, and the customer asks the employee to put a mask on for their protection, I would totally agree with that would be something that should be enforced. That just seems logical on a case-to-case situation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner LaCroix.
You know, when we did talk about this, I appreciate you bringing this forward. I mean, it needs the discussion, but I was one of the ones on the other side that let the department heads make their decision. Everybody knows how they deal with the public in a certain way, and they know how their employees feel as far as being comfortable and so forth. And I think our people want to do the right thing and be comfortable, and I just don't see us mandating something to where I think our departments know their people and know the public better. There are some that have no contact with the public. They're sitting around, these people know it. And so I'm with Gary. I'm not going to mandate something along those lines.
Thank you, sir.
John, do you have anything else besides the mask that you wanted to bring up?
That was it.
Okay.
Just the masks. It's pretty simple.
Thank you. Dustin, something else?
Yeah,
Thank
just
you,
wanted
John.
to add to the discussion, not to beleaguer the discussion. So continuity of operations, continuity of government, great argument. I mean, it's an imperative thing. And hopefully we'll be doing some more planning on continuity of operation, continuity of government. Maybe one I'm not asking for anything specific, just a point to consider and mull on and maybe come up with something. But, mandates and disciplinary action and the hammer approach can be problematic. And as a department head, I appreciate being given the latitude to know what our situation is and make decisions relevant to our department. The one piece that maybe could be considered is public places. So certainly if I'm going to a department that has mandated masks, it's incumbent upon me to wear a mask. If I'm going to be interacting with the public less than 6 feet, it's incumbent upon me to be respectful and wear a mask. But the one piece of this that might be worth thinking about as we move into the future is, what about public spaces in the building? We all share the same common bathrooms. Hopefully, we're not spending 15 minutes next to each other in the bathroom. But, thinking about the bathroom spaces and like the public break spaces and vending areas, maybe not necessarily from a strict infection control standpoint, but certainly from a psychological standpoint from some of our employees that are concerned. And so I'm not asking for anything specific, just a point of maybe consideration to think about in terms of a recommendation of how we conduct ourselves in the public spaces of the building.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner DeSanto.
I'm with Dustin 100%. We would like to encourage our employees to respect other people and the possibility that they could be spreading something to someone else. I agree. In the public areas, it's probably more important to make sure that you're either social distancing or you're wearing a mask or what have you. Again, I doesn't change my mind about a mandate, but we said a long time ago at the very beginning of this thing that we trust our department heads and we trust our employees, and we would like to be able to remain, I think, I'm speaking for all of us, that we'd like to be able to remain in that position where our employees and our department heads are making good decisions to protect everyone else, and we don't have to be put in that position to mandate something. And so I guess this is maybe just a shout out to everybody that John's concern is legitimate. We don't want to shut down a department. That would be disastrous. And so a plea from me as a commissioner to our employees: respect other people's bubble. And especially now, I never thought I'd ever hear myself saying that, but yeah, respect other people's bubble and try to do what you can to stem the spread of this disease.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Just one thing. The best thing to do, guys, is infection control best practices, and maybe we could put those in areas that we believe in public places or different areas, what that means. Dustin said it best. So I think that's something that would help and be sent to the department heads as well as the employees, because it's huge on washing your hands, mostly boys. Okay, I say
Covering
that.
coughs. Yeah. Stay home if you're
Men.
sick.
Without sounding too big, have 7 brothers. So anyway, I think that's our bottom line. And you guys had talked to me yesterday about bringing this forward. You have every right to bring everything and anything to do with our employees and their positions and what they're thinking to us. That is your job. So I would never say as a chair that you couldn't do that. But today it doesn't look like we're moving in that direction, but I still believe that infection control best practices, those things should be sent out to employees, department heads, and then put in maybe what that means in our public places or even standing in the lines for safety factors, if that's, whether it's influenza, and they do this in the sheriff's office. Any infectious control issue is a good thing for either the employees or the people we serve. So, thank you, John. Sir, did you have something to say? Come on. Mr. Richard?
Dan Richer. Madam Chair, may I speak?
Sure.
This morning, the CDC released a study that they say, and I'm sure it's subject to change, but the study showed that close contact is more dangerous than airborne. So a mask will help the other person, but it won't help you. So you're just protecting, if you put a mask on, you're just protecting the people around you. You're not protecting yourself. Unless you've got the medical grade, I think it's called the MN95.
Right.
And they're quite costly, but that's what they said this morning, so just a little info for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Richard.
Dan.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
what I
Ross.
wanted to tell John was maybe at this point in time, mandating mask might be not appropriate, but I would certainly encourage following safe practices.
Sure.
And we know what that is, 6 feet, you wear a mask. I mean, that's a safe practice. That's, I don't think a person should have to wear a mask all the time, but the minute you're within 6 feet of a fellow employee or customer, put the mask on. I mean,
I agree.
it is what it is.
I appreciate that, even a recommendation. So whenever a department comes to me with a request, I'm going to bring it to your attention.
Absolutely.
That's how this one came to be. So I wanted to be sure to speak on their behalf and bring it back up for review and consideration. I agree, though. Thank you for that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner DeSanto.
One last thing, as Dan pointed out, what the CDC came up with this morning, I read that as well. And having that knowledge would give you probably the instruction, in my opinion, with common sense, that really the best way to protect yourself is to have a face mask. I mean a face shield.
Oh, sure.
Your eyes are actually more absorptive than your nasals or your mouth. And so if somebody sneezes and you get it in your eyes, you get as good a chance or better of contracting it than with your filter that you've got
Ask
built
Willie.
in. So
Ask Sheriff's Department on infectious disease.
right. So if somebody's worried, if an employee of ours is worried, I would suggest that they wear a face shield. If they're worried about getting it from somebody else that's not wearing a mask in one of the departments they visit or something like that.
Bottom line is it's, some of that's a personal choice. If they feel that there's going to be issues, I think the department head should let people in their departments, if that feels like a safety factor or things that make them feel more safe
Right.
because of infection control best practices or something, that for them to feel comfortable coming to work in a sense that makes a difference. I mean, and I believe our staff and our department heads have been doing that already. So,
I agree.
thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Shannon, you're up. When we moving those mobile homes over, Shannon?
Talk about trailer houses now instead of others.
Well, isn't there a Rittenberger Lane that we could drop those off
No,
at?
there's not. But before we get to the abatement, which is a trailer house, I wanted to address Commissioner Roskinick's statement about 70s trailer houses starting to move. It is a problem in Pennington County and Rapid City because it costs $1,000 to $2,000 dump fees, plus rental of the dumpster, plus contractor to tear them apart. You can have a few $1,000s into a $200 trailer house, and people can't afford to get rid of them. They aren't going anywhere. Minnehaha County has double the population or more, 2.5 times that Pennington County has, and we have double the number of trailer houses. That's zoning restrictions there that have forced people to get rid of them, that prevents them from moving. It doesn't make them go away necessarily, but at least it stops them moving somewhere else. I think that's the way. I think zoning regulations are the way to get rid of them unless we can come up with, more space at the highway shop to get rid of them. It's a problem. It is a serious problem. We hear from court owners that are stuck with these things after somebody abandons them. So, and I didn't know the truck stop had them. We just started looking out there.
Wow.
Tell you the truth, we had two. Once we demolished one, we put a sign on the other one that to trash this one next, and then they came and got it 2 weeks later. So
Really?
it worked.
Okay, so the abatement is a mobile home, and this is the story. This mobile home was moved from Pennington County without a moving permit, which means we didn't know it left, but it still left the county. I think we ought to send him some roses. The sheriff's office determined that 2018 taxes are uncollectible because it's gone. So now we are trying to abate the 2019 and 2020 because we aren't going to collect those either.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Drews.
Second.
Second by DeSanto. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner,
if they found the owner, would he be liable for, they be liable for a $500 fine for moving that without the proper permit?
Yeah, but what you heard this morning is the sheriff's office does an incredibly good job of collecting on this stuff. They do. There was something about this where if they found him, he doesn't have the money and he doesn't have anything they can take, or they didn't find him.
I guess I just wanted to let people know that's a $500 fine.
Yeah.
You move a mobile home without a permit.
Yep, it is, and if the sheriff's office can collect it, they'll do that. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
The treasurer's office tries to pursue that as much as possible.
Thank you.
Commissioner Drews, please.
Just a point of clarification. Can my motion include both 2019 and 2020, or do we have to do 2020 a year from now?
We're going to have to do 2020 a couple of months.
Okay.
We can't abate a tax bill that doesn't exist.
Okay.
So we have to wait.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Drews. So we do have a motion by Drews, second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Items from Highway, please. Item A.
Good morning, Commission. Joe Miller, Pennington County Highway. I don't have any mobile homes, so hopefully Shannon doesn't put any more at our
On
highway
record,
department.
We are not against mobile homes or manufactured homes.
First comes to you a South Valley Drive resolution as directed at the previous meeting to come back with a resolution to put this on our county maintained portion of our county roads. You have two resolutions in front of you. One is to add it all the way to Minnesota Street. The other is to stop it where the city constructed portion was. I guess with that, I can stand for any questions you have on either one.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner DeSanto.
if we chose option two, is that in any way, shape, or form going to cause us problems with the city? I mean, can they come back on us and say, hey, you tore up something we put in?
So we did speak to the city, and Mark did talk to Ted Johnson. I think he's the head engineer,
Yes.
Yes.
I believe, over at the city, and they don't claim any of this, though they constructed it, right? They didn't, they don't claim it, so no, the city couldn't come back on
It would be
us.
my motion to go with, let's see, I think it was the .68 mile.
Second.
Option one?
Is that option one?
I believe so.
Yes, that's option one. Sorry, option one.
I'll second that.
I would recommend that we go with option one.
So moved by DeSanto, second by LaCroy, but one thing on that is we're going to go tear up somebody's asphalt.
Say that one more time.
Okay, tell me what, so
Yeah,
we're,
turning
So,
it into gravel.
so what Mark's what Mark and Lloyd are doing is they're alleviating a future problem that we'd seen with this. We currently have a no man's land because nobody claims it, right? We would
Right.
still have that if we left that very southern portion of South Valley Drive, basically no man's land.
Right.
Madam Chair.
so the south part,
We're basically finishing the
Is-
job is what
Yep. Shows it from here to here, so it starts right there.
so it's not starting where the inlet is of,
So that's East Minnesota Street.
okay, so we're not tearing that up.
We're not tearing that up.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Commissioner LaCroy.
Joe, thank you. I mean, and this has been a long road for a long time. And what I will say is I had some conversations through the last couple of weeks with some other different individuals out there. And I actually learned on how it got paved a little bit and how this access got put in there. The whole thing is the residents, and there is a concern that, you know, Valley Drive is gonna cross over eventually and all be one, but I think at the point, I'll give a shout out to Mr. Prairie. When this first came up, that's what he said to do, is take it down to gravel 4 years ago. But I mean, and I was kind of against that, but I think we need to get the base done, get it, and we're gonna take it over so the residents know who to talk to. They're still pushing for, some of the residents are still going to the city and having discussions with them now, but that's with them in the city as far as, we worked hard to come up with the deals and to come up with solutions, and unfortunately the funding went away, but, I think, your guys' option with this, is gonna give some peace to at least, so we ain't calling it no man's land anymore. But, you know, if I remember right, like Bunker, the city's been taking care of that one. So I think we're kind of doing it to, we're not doing this in spite of the city or anything. We're doing this for the residents is what we're doing for, so they know who to come to.
Thank you,
We'll
Lloyd.
forward the pothole concerns to you.
Yeah.
So I had residents call me, and I also told that resident, if you don't want to gravel, then go to the city and have them bring it up on their legal or their public works and put it on that agenda, and then call us to come with our superintendent. And we would not gravel, we would work with solution. But at this point, we don't have any option because we've been trying everything for the last few years, and this is the best solution for us, because to spend $200-some-thousand to do something that would be piecemealing would not be best interest of anything, the citizens or this county. So I did call John Roberts and told him if this does come to Public Works to give us a call, and I would call the superintendent, and one of us would be there with Joe in order to follow through with what was going on out there. So I haven't heard anything back. I don't know if anybody else has, but I think at this point, we should send a letter to the city and tell them what we are doing with that road, so they're all on the same page. I mean, so they know what we're doing.
Yep.
Bottom line.
And Madam Chair, I also had a discussion with Pat, the city councilman from for that ward. He wanted to know some of the history on it, explained it to him, and I brought up how I wanted to take it to Public Works at one point, so he's aware of it, and whether they decide to put it on,
Well, I think at this point, I would put it on the citizens.
yeah.
If they wanted to move forward and,
Yeah.
and make, or have the city do something different and bring that as unfortunately, a political thing at that point, because right now, nothing's really moving forward with what the engineers and stuff want to do. So sometimes you have to have a little push from the citizens. Bottom line, they have to give that first initial before, Pat or anybody else will move forward in the first place. So, thank you. So do we have a motion on this by DeSanto, second by Drews?
No, I think it was LaCroix, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries, and that was the .68, Ms. Kara. Item B would be the 35 miles per hour intersection, Joe.
So this just comes in lieu of us taking onto the county system. We need to have a speed limit resolution to set the speed limit on that. Our traffic counters on the southern portion of that road show the 85th percentile at 35 miles an hour. That's our suggestion, staying consistent with what we've always suggested, is to set that speed limit at 35 miles an hour.
Madam Chair,
So, one thing, Joe, just 1 second.
got a lot of questions today.
So, when you first come on to Minnesota, off of Minnesota, what's the speed limit?
It's 25 miles an hour.
And then it goes into this area with gravel, which we're gonna have, and then what does it go into?
Goes back down to 25 miles an hour at the north end.
So why would you do 35 in between a 25 and a 25?
It's more of a rural section. It is flatter and there's not as many hills. The 35th percentile is what we've always suggested, and the 35th percentile on that northern end is, I believe it's down around that 28, 29 mark. So that's The only reason for this 35-mile-an-hour suggestion is to stay consistent with that 85th percentile.
Okay, so Joe, I'm gonna use your own stuff against you. With the police trying to, or the sheriff department trying to figure out from 25 to a .68 on a 35 and then a 25 on a whatever, another half mile, wouldn't you be consistent to leave it at 25 all the way through?
And that's your guys' decision to do that. We just made the suggestion, so.
I'm just saying, Joe, I kind of got that off of what you were
Right,
telling
no,
me off
I
of two
understand.
other, okay,
Makes sense.
thank you, Joe. Commissioner DeSanto.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Joe, the only question I have is the difference between 25 miles an hour and 35 miles an hour. How much more wear and tear, what do you call it when it's
Washboards?
washboarding is going to be caused with that extra 10 miles an hour?
You know, with the portion that we're turning back to gravel, it's relatively flat. There's not a lot of hills. There's no turns, which is generally where you see your washboarding.
Right.
Or acceleration from stop signs or deceleration on stop signs. So that's generally where you see your washboarding. So on this portion of the road, I don't believe it would make a whole lot of difference.
Okay, all right.
Mark?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner LaCroy.
just a little more information. I think it was 2 years ago. I'd gotten a lot of concerns out there on the speed limit, and we were setting up officers out there keeping track of how fast things were going, and there was a big concern. I don't know, Mark, I don't know if I contacted you or I was talking to PD and sheriff, about 3 different groups all at one time. And we're even thinking about putting up one of those signs, is what my request was, that tells you how fast you're going, because I fielded quite a few concerns on the speed limit on South Valley Drive altogether.
Right. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Yes, I remember that. I think everyone was involved in that, the PD, the sheriff's department, county, city officials. There's a lot of question on there. I just had one point, not to influence anybody's way of thinking here, but the 25 mile an hour sign that is on the south side,
Okay.
down by Minnesota Street, is essentially they're illegal because nobody's claims that road. And, well, until now. So that really shouldn't be a factor in your decision there, but not to try to influence you either way. But that would be an illegal sign because it's not in the city and it's not a county road. That's it until today.
Okay, just
Madam Chair,
a little follow-up, please.
when that's done, is that going to be a combination of gravel aggregate and then recycled asphalt?
We'll grind the asphalt that's there and leave it there. Absolutely, yes. It'll be a combination. It'll have
So
more
then
gravel than recycled
it
asphalt.
won't be as dusty as a 100% gravel road because the asphalt millings will be mixed in with the gravel.
It
So
very well, yeah.
dust isn't going to really be a problem then.
It most likely will be, but the gravel that we'll be putting on it comes out of Robertson. It's got quite a bit of clay in it. That coupled with the recycled asphalt should minimize the dust, but I don't want to say the dust isn't going to be a problem because it's a gravel road in Pennington County. So
Thank you, Joe.
Commissioner LaCroy, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that to the commission's attention with the speed limits deal. You know, that was a big collaboration about 2 years ago about residents concerned with the speed limit. And I understand where we're going with between there and Minnesota streets, more flat, less residential. But I guess I just wanted to make that to the commission's, bring it to your guys' attention that there was concern with the speed limit, even with it at 25 down lower South Valley Drive. Right now, I'm kind of in between what I'd like to keep consistent all the way through, just so everybody that drives it knows what the speed limit is, but I'm open to discussion.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews.
I'm at the point, I'd like to minimize the amount of travel on there. So if the speed limit is set at 25 rather than 35, and that forces people to go, not necessarily forces them, but if they choose to go someplace else because of the speed limit, I think that's probably in our best interest, actually. So in response to what Mark said, so that current 25 mile an hour speed sign, that will become our, part of our roadway. So we wouldn't necessarily have going from 35 down to 25 back to 35, would we?
Correct. No, we wouldn't. We could set the whole section. We'd change that sign to a 35 mile an hour sign.
Okay.
So we would have 25 on the northern, whatever, half a mile and 35 the
Okay.
southern.
I
Does it
understand.
look
Thank you.
rebellious towards the city? Just
What's
kidding.
that?
Well, the other thing you gotta think of is if you come off the highway and then it's 35, right? So basically, or you come across, like after I go to church and come across there, it's 25. I don't think it's gonna hurt it at 25, because first you come off and then you go on a curve right away. And then by the time you're done, you only got 0.68 or 0.53 left at 25. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're not really, because you're going off, you're coming a little fast, and then you're gradually into the 25. So I don't think 25 is going to hurt that area at all.
Right, and Madam Chair,
Commissioner DeSant.
I like what Gary said, that maybe if we keep it at 25, it will deter some traffic that knows it's 25 miles an hour that would rather just go down Catron or Elkvale and get off on Highway 44 rather than making that the cutoff.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that the traffic increased in volume there was obviously because it got connected and it was also paved. But now it's going to be gravel, so maybe less people will use it.
Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Drews.
I'd make a motion that we leave the speed limit throughout that area that comes on the county system at 25.
Second.
By Drews, second by DeSanto. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And just a quick update on where we're at with the construction aspect of it. We're looking probably the end of October, middle of November before we are able to get to a place where we're caught up. So hopefully Mother Nature gives us enough time to get all that stuff done. So
Bottom line, Joe, is that also gives the city or anybody else, when you send them the letter, any indication that, basically, we're not doing this today, but this is when it'll be done, so, thank you, Joe.
all right, next up is another change order on a Nemo Road bridge. KLJ has been doing our bridge inspections, our federally mandated bridge inspections every 2 years. This is their second year doing that, so this is their first look at this bridge. As you can see in the inspection report there, they have what they call shear cracks. Basically, the end of those double T's have nothing supporting the end of them on the abutments. We're very thankful that this was, in lieu of, I know Commissioner Roskinek's got some concerns on heavy truck traffic on there. The trucks are empty on this lane, so pretty thankful for that. Had it been the other way around, I think we would have ended up with another situation like we had in July. So the change order for the labor amount is $68,701.10. The materials for the double T's, and we have talked to Forterra. They can get those in right away. They don't have anything in front of them. $11,793. I do want to point out with Sheridan Lake Road, the state is using our state STP funds, which are funds that come from the federal government, go to the state, and then get distributed out to the counties. They're using I believe we've got $6 million in there, in our piggy bank in there this year, so we won't be billed for any portion of Sheridan Lake Road this year. So as far as our 10%, we're going to be most likely turning back more than that 10% this year with that, with not being billed for Sheridan Lake Road out of our road and bridge reserves. Another concern, we don't want to leave this bridge one lane over the winter. Be a nightmare for plowing, drifts and so forth. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Roskinek.
So by doing the change order, then we're not starting from scratch like we would have been on the bridge that went out, and everybody thought that worked out really good because they're already the contractor. We just do a change order. We can expedite this a lot quicker than if we had to go out and bid this from scratch. So to me, it makes sense.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner LaCroy.
I'd make the motion to approve the change order number 3 in the amount of $68,701.10
Second.
for the BR
Motion by
201 bridge
LaCroy,
repair.
second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I got a question for Joe on that.
Joe?
So, Joe, are we about at the end of the bridges there that, I mean, we did, huh?
That's the 7th one on Nemo.
Yeah, so how many more do we have on Nemo?
We've got any more on Nemo, right?
That would have been the sixth one. I think there's only 6 on there.
Yeah, 6.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
We will have worked on all of them.
You're running out of bridges.
Okay. Wow.
Time to start in another district.
Madam Chair, could you give it, could Joe give a little update on Sheridan Lake Road to the commission?
That's
As you
fine.
like. Absolutely. Sheridan Lake Road, they actually started last week, Wednesday, putting the bottom mat down. So they're all the way past Spring Canyon Trail on that first phase with the bottom lift. They were planning on they were high on a couple spots with their subgrade with their base course, so they were trying to get that straightened out today and tomorrow. Yesterday they were doing all the approaches that they had gotten started with the asphalt. Hope to be paved out probably the end of this week, early next week. So it's looking good. I encourage you guys to go out there and take a drive. It's a whole different world. So looking forward to what they're going to do next year. Next year is going to be a really big change. So
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Items from Human Resources. John, again.
Good morning again,
John.
Commissioners. John Morrow, Pennington County HR. So we've got 2 things. These are the final departments that we've had for job titles and rating changes. These positions, for the most part, see,
It's drop CD.
these positions, for the most part, had been reviewed through Gallagher. I have to find my glasses. I'm sorry. But the first ones we wanted to go through were the State Attorney's Office. So you'll see we have new titles, DBMs. These are positions, again, that had been rated through the Gallagher process. No changes to job descriptions per se. These are the ones that had been reviewed. We just hadn't had them added officially to the job title list for the county. So what we're requesting today is to have these titles added at the assigned DBM ratings that are shown on the memo.
Madam Chair.
Questions or a motion?
Madam Chair.
Mr.
John, do you
Russell?
think there'll be any issues with the position for the administrative support where Condrey 6 was $13.80 an hour and Gallagher A11 will be $10.54, so it's a $3.
Yes, so the administrative support position truly is that. They're opening mail, they're answering the phone. We've had really good response to those positions, and actually people that fill those roles in most of the offices are similar people that we continue to have. Later today in executive session, we're actually going to speak about one of those. But no, short answer would no. I don't believe we'll have any challenges with that.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd move to approve the position titles and DVM ratings for the State's Attorney's Office.
Moved by
Second.
Drews, second by LaCroy. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews.
On
or
the three,
DeSanto.
the juvenile diversion, the victim's assistance, and the young adult diversion, $3 an hour raise, or more than $3 an hour. What's that based on? Is it based on basically their job descriptions?
The actual analysis,
And
I'm sorry.
this is kind of what is status quo for the rest of the state or the rest of the country, or what?
These are based upon the 40 or so entities that were requested to
Okay.
provide data. So we analyze the actual responsibilities of the position, the leadership, the overall control they have of what they do, those types of decision-making authority, and then that's actually what places it into categories. So as we've done with the other positions, very same process we've done with these as well.
Okay.
Basically by coordinator, director, and coordinator. That makes a whole different set of job
Right.
descriptions compared to
Right.
Very, very much different from what we had before. And again, the State's Attorney's Office had done a great job for us on the front side, updating these to actually reflect what those people were doing.
Okay.
Do
All
you
right.
have a
Thank
motion
you.
and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item B,
Thank you,
please.
Commissioners. The next one we have is for the same process within the Auditor's Office. We've got a few new positions, and Holly was kind enough to point out that I did some things that weren't consistent with the State's Attorney or the other things that I've turned in. So, again, job descriptions, job titles, these are new. The Administrative Assistant / Commission Recorder, the accounts payable specialist, the property tax administrator, and the senior accountant. So these are new position titles as well as job descriptions that Cindy had done. But what I did on this form that's different is I put all of the Gallagher ratings. What I want to put down, if I can, down the prior rating column. So for the first one on there, Condrey rating is a 16 and it's $22.47 an hour. So what you'll see on there is the Gallagher rating was shown. The accounts payable specialist, so the third one on the list, it's showing a B23. That would actually be a Condrey grade 14, rated at $20.38 an hour. And then the property tax administrator accountant, that was, again, a B24 under the Gallagher process. Condrey 16 was the original rating for that position. It would be equivalent to an accountant 2 within the office. And then on the far right, you'll see those are consistent now with the Gallagher grades, with the exception of the third one. We don't have any category named CB. So it's supposed to be just B23. Please strike the C from the list.
So John, does she have the new roll and grade people in her budget already for 2021 based on that she knew this was coming?
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Cindy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner DeSanto?
John, does the accountant senior require a CPA?
No, I don't believe so. I don't know that Cindy came down. I did not remember that being part of the requirement for that. It's
All right.
more the responsibilities they have within the office. Again, the autonomy they have, the responsibilities they have, does not require a CPA. So again, they've got the bachelor's degree in accounting, business administration, plus 5 years of professional accounting work.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
So that's a new level that we're creating there as well.
You have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Drew, second by LaCroy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
John. Commissioners, can we have a 5-minute break?
So
Motion?
moved.
So moved.
Moved by Drew, second by LaCroy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
All
aye.
opposed, motion carries.
Make a motion to go back into regular session.
Motion by
Second.
Drew, second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Miss Holly?
Commissioners, what you have in front of you today is just an amended new hire introduction county policy. We were doing it monthly before. We would like to request to change it to a quarterly basis. And the new revisions basically gives me a little more flexibility on where to schedule it if we're in social distancing and whatnot for the employee count numbers. So just asking for approval today to approve the new policy as presented.
Move to approve.
Moved by DeSanto, second by LaCroy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Holly, for the work on that. Very good. Next is items from chair or commission members. I don't have anything. I think we'll just go into committee reports unless I'm missing something. Let's start with Commissioner Drews today.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna defer to building committee to Ron, but on the government affairs connection, we had a conference last week. Steve Barnett, the Secretary of State, talked about elections, changes that are being made and so forth, and obviously this has all been conveyed to our auditor's office that handles the elections for Pennington County. And so, and earlier today, we approved the polling places for the November 3rd election. So there wasn't much else relative to that. Obviously, we did have our commission planning department work session I think that worked out very well with an explanation to the commission as to what it means moving forward with the planning changes and with the new ordinances and so forth. So I thought it was very well done, and I think we spent about 3 hours doing that, and that saved a lot of time up here of going through all that. So I think it was much appreciated, and the public is not left out of that at all. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner LaCroy?
Well, we had our community health center Zoom meeting, and pretty much that's typical work. They're going over numbers and so forth. But what this stood out in this meeting was we went over some of the building plans and layouts. Community health is going to be going, having a clinic across the street in the care campus. And so we discussed the numbers. They're going to have a pharmacy over there, a physician in the rooms and so forth. So we just discussed at the beginning, they're not sure what kind of numbers they're going to need for people to man that office and so forth. So it's going to be a learning experience for the first year, but it was pretty good that they're going to have pharmacy and clinic right there. Nothing big, but it's just all part of the building. So that was one of the things that they discussed. The other meeting I had was the MacArthur Safety Justice Challenge. That was a very well attended meeting, and some of the discussion of that meeting was that MacArthur Foundation in the future is looking towards funding more programs with racial disparity and so forth, and so they're going to start focusing more that way. Whereas our MacArthur grant and stuff has worked, we have done very good work here. At our last budget meeting, we actually reduced our budget and our request from them, so we are on that slide of that they're proud of what we're doing and looking good. So, but it's just a little heads up that MacArthur in the future is looking more for the stuff that's happened, that's come to rise in our country in the last 6 months. They're going to start focusing in on some of that. I don't really want to lay out what that entails because I don't know.
No, yeah, right. Thank you, Lloyd. Commissioner DeSanto?
Did not have any committees, however, I have had some individual conversation with Ron Jeffries. Obviously, the Central States Fair has suffered some pretty serious setback as far as income, revenue stream is concerned. So they'll probably be coming before us, maybe he's even contacted you already, to ask us for a supplement. In my opinion, I don't know if somehow we can qualify the Central States Fair for COVID, but that's basically the entire cause of their loss of revenue is COVID related. So I'm going to talk to Cindy about how we can qualify them for that. But I don't think that they're going to be able to make up for it for the loss at the fair when it comes to the stock show. They may be able to do better at the stock show, but I don't think they're going to be able to make up for what the kind of losses that they took at the fair. So I just want to give you guys a heads up that that's going to be coming before us, and maybe we can come up with some ideas as to how to help them out in that area. I'm not necessarily suggesting that we just give them a supplement. Maybe we can figure out a way to recoup that back in the future. But to keep the fairgrounds operating at their maximum potential so that they do have the potential to recover and get back into business as usual.
Maybe a loan or something like that as well, or I don't know how that works, but what are you talking, hundreds of thousands or a couple hundred or?
100,000.
100,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner LaCroy?
I just seen where they had their session, legislative session, and I thought I'd seen where part of the funding, there was gonna be some in there for nonprofits, small businesses. I don't know, government affairs can check in on some of those.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I seen some of the breakouts of that.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
sure
know any of the
Patty will,
details on it, but
I'm sure Patty will be looking into that option, because they are, not-for-profit, so.
And economic development is helping many, which you might give them a suggestion, many of the businesses and things that got hit by COVID. So I would check there and see if they've checked and exhausted all their areas before
Right.
they come directly to us for a supplement is what
Gotcha.
I would say. Commissioner DeSanto.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roskinick.
Well, I can't really think of any committees. Everything's been on Zoom, and we had a irregular meeting on the Thursday, so that threw things off a little bit. But I did attend two events. One was I was invited to the locals that live out there by Mystic, South Dakota. And the purpose of that meeting was to sit down with about 20 landowners, where I got a total of 40 signatures from area residents. And I'll just read the first paragraph of the letter, the invitation. It said, the purpose of this letter is to address several issues related to the increased traffic on Pennington County roads, specifically around Mystic and Castleton. As you may know, we live on a gravel road near the old town sites of Castleton and Mystic. In the past few years, we've seen a drastic increase in the traffic in our area, primarily due to the increased use of the Mystic Trailhead of the Mickelson Trail, as well as ATVs, UTVs, side-by-sides, and dirt bikes that have discovered the roads in western South Dakota. This issue has resulted in the following: damage to the road, safety concerns, effect on the environment. So I'm currently, I'm going to work on that with that group, and I'm going to work with our highway department. If you travel the Mystic Road, with the increased traffic, it's fairly, I would consider it in poor shape. Yesterday, I met with Lilia Jardin, and she's with the Rapid City Watershed Action Group, who's presenting a resolution to the local governments to encourage the South Dakota congressional delegation to introduce federal legislation to designate an area of nearly 200,000 acres as a national recreation area, also known as NRA. And so the questions I posed to her yesterday, I was there more just to listen, and then the questions that I asked her and follow up is, it's not the National Rifle Association, it's the National Recreation Area. And then I followed up with how many of those are in the U.S., what is the average area of an NRA, who manages an NRA, the Bureau of Land Management, Forest Service, or the National Park, question mark. What's the cost to the taxpayers for the creation of this area and the process involved? What activities are prohibited in an NRA? How does an NRA affect the ability for property management and timber and other activities in large areas of the Black Hills? How much private acreage is in this proposed area, and how are their property rights impacted? How many acres of federal land is currently impacted by mining, or has been in the last 25, 50, or 100 years? Are mineral claims preventing recreation? How does the effect gravel and the smaller stone quarries like Dakota Stone, how are they going to be impacted, the smaller guys? And lastly, how many NRAs limit motorized use? Would that be one of the restrictions if this was to be incorporated? So waiting to get some answers back.
Good questions.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mine is Planning Commission. We continue to talk about infrastructure, water, sewer, drainage areas, and roads, make sure we're looking at all areas, looking at the future of what's going to happen in these build-outs, these developments, and how that's going to impact our roads, our bridges, and other areas. I also went to a commission meeting last night, or city council meeting last night. It was 6-3, was tabled at 6-3. Talked about the NRA. Most of the group that I was listening to were talking more about the mining, the gold mining, the leaching, and what that would have to do with our watershed. I think everybody in the room at that meeting believed in the watershed of the area of the Black Hills and western South Dakota. The issue is, and the bottom line is, what does that entail when you want to make a national park or a national recreation area? Do you have all of the basically rules, regulations, and process, and who that affects in those areas that you are designating? And we learned that as we remember from scenic byways. This is kind of the same thing. When they were asked the question, they didn't go there. All they said was, it's about the watershed, the leaching of mining. So I did speak, and I wasn't for or against. I said, in this sense, again, we're all into watershed, but make sure we know all the facts and the information when something's brought forward before we make a decision. Someone had said that a resolution is non-binding. The resolution is binding because once a political entity puts their name on a resolution, it means that you support this group or this designation, at least to me. And then the county or the city council agreed, and they tabled it 6-3 to get more information, which I think at this point was good. To put fear and doubt in people's heads about watershed and not give all the information about what you're doing in that watershed or that national recreation area, I think is misleading for people. There was a lot of farmers, ranchers, ATVers, and other people there that said, stop and take a look at how you're affecting our properties. Some people have, the ranchers have cattle with 30,000 acres in that area and different things, and said, bottom line, that if they needed to, they would do the work and find some of this stuff out for the city council so they make a informative decision. So that was turned out really good. They also, on the city council, they were talking about the Susan, the land exchange, and the Children's Memorial, and some other stuff that's going on, and that they would be there again with Miss Norma, I forgot Norma's last name. Anyway, she's running the group for basically three things: land for needy Indians, Children's Memorial, and the land exchange through what had happened in the Treaty of 1948. So that was pretty interesting. So other than that, also we had a planning commission or a planning department work session with the commission. We had some really good discussion with Jason and Brittany and Colin about what the goals and objectives of this commission is and what is the goals and objectives of the planning department. We mixed those two goals and objectives together to make sure we were all on the same page. And as a commission, if I could speak for us all, we thought the direction that the planning department was going with Brittany and Colin and Jason and their team was going in the direction that this commission wanted us to go. And if that is what you guys were all on the same page with, Mr. Drews, LaCroix, Ross Connect, is that what you were thinking on the?
Yep.
You have any discussion on the planning department and our meeting we had with them?
Yeah, well, I think we're all on the same page.
Okay, thank you. All righty, so next we will go on to vouchers.
Need a motion to approve vouchers in the amount of $361,803.34. Commissioner Hadcock will need to abstain from one voucher to the Rose Inn, and Lloyd LaCroix will need to abstain from one voucher to himself.
So move.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion by Ross Connect, second by Commissioner DeSanto. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaCroix.
I just wanted to give some explanation for mine because I think it's noteworthy. I have attended to, both of them had come down with COVID, and there was some funding through Health and Human Services that helped from the Burbage Foundation that helped them for their rent. They were both quarantined for 2 weeks, pretty much. So I just wanted to explain, and hopefully some people that are out there know that there is some funding available. If that happens, contact the Health and Human Services. Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved. Commissioner Hadcock abstained from the one voucher, and Commissioner LaCroy abstained from the other voucher. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Drews. Next is item from the Planning Department. Just one thing, if you'd like to speak today and on any item from the Planning Department, please get a speaker request form and hand that to Miss Holly at the left, usually the left of the dais.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
sir.
got one question. Jay, this is probably a question for you. Were you paying attention to the last vote? I have a question, sort of a point of order question. I'm not sure we're able to do that the way that we just did it, as far as having them abstain and then we vote. I think we have to take those two other items separately, where Gary and Ron and I vote on the Rose Inn and on Lloyd's deal, and then we vote as a whole on the rest of the vouchers. Am I correct?
Well, actually, that may make sense in that you did point out, Commissioner Drews, the two vouchers, but I guess you didn't identify them on the record of what specific voucher.
I did.
He did.
He did identify them.
Okay.
But then when we
All
took
I
the
heard
vote,
was-
all of us voted. And I think that procedurally, we have to take those two that we pull out and vote on them separately with just Ron.
I think you make a good point.
Gary and I.
It'd probably be better to do that. That way you can, it'll be just a 3 members quorum voting on the, well,
It'd be a four.
It'd be 4
Four.
on one voucher, 4 on the other
Correct.
voucher, 5 on all of the remaining vouchers.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or I don't mind abstaining from the vouchers this time.
I think that's what you have been doing, is abstaining from the vouchers altogether, but when it's just one item, I think that
You make a good point.
Yeah, I think that's how we're supposed to do it, actually.
I think that's a good point.
But I don't think
Commissioner.
at this point, I mean, moving forward, we can do that, Mr. DeSanto. But I think at this point, I don't know if Lloyd minds, but I can abstain from the vouchers this time.
Okay, completely.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt my feelings.
You too, Lloyd?
it really, I wanted to make the public aware of what it was.
I'll put you
Okay.
both
So-
down as abstaining from vouchers
Move
altogether.
to reconsider, somebody
Might as
on
well.
the.
I would move to reconsider on the.
I've got a motion
vouchers.
to reconsider by which the vote to approve the vouchers was approved. Is there a second to that?
Second.
And a second. So to proceed with this, I would look for a motion to approve all the vouchers, including the voucher to the Rose Inn, which would have Commissioner Hadcock then abstaining. Is there a motion to do that?
May I,
Yes.
sorry how complicated it's got, but you need to vote on the motion to reconsider.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
All those in favor of the reconsideration motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we can move forward.
I'll proceed.
Okay, so now I'm looking for a motion to approve all the vouchers with the exception of the Rose Inn, which Commissioner Hadcock will abstain from. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
And a second. Further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Commissioner Hadcock abstained. Now I'm looking for a motion to approve the voucher to Lloyd LaCroy in the amount of $775. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Lloyd LaCroy will be abstaining.
And Lloyd, yes, Lloyd will be abstaining from this. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Very good.
Are we good?
Yeah. I just
Buddy.
don't want us getting questioned.
You're okay.
Makes sense to me.
Jason, you're taking over for Planning Department today?
Yes, ma'am. Today, Brittany's out for a couple weeks, so I'll be taking over. She is on Zoom if you have any questions.
Yes, sir.
There's no consent agenda today, so we'll roll right into agenda item A. My name is Jason Thennison, County Planner. Agenda item A is Layout Plan 20-24. The applicant is David Grover. He's in the audience if you have any questions for him. Surveyor is Britton Engineering. The applicant is requesting a layout plan to subdivide 3 existing parcels into 12 residential lots. Lot sizes will range from approximately 5 acres to 9 acres. As it sits today, all the lots are zoned General Agriculture District, take access off Old Hill City Road. They each contain a 33-foot wide private access easement running north and south, as well as a 66-foot wide private access easement running east and west. And none of the properties have special flood hazard area on them. Specifically, Lot A on your screen, identified in red, is 1.62 acres and is vacant of any structures. Lot B, identified in green, is 0.97 acre and is vacant of any structures. And Lot C, identified in blue on the screen, is 67.25 acres and contains a single-family residence as well as 7 outbuildings constructed between 1909 and 1940. Now, the proposed lots, a little fuzzy picture, they're all zoned General Agriculture District. The lot sizes will range from approximately 5 acres to 9 acres. Therefore, a lot size variance or rezone is required. There is no special flood hazard area on any of the properties. Proposed access is off of Old Hill City Road, Towering Pines Lane, and an unnamed right-of-way. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. County Highway, Equalization, Register of Deeds, and Emergency Services all have comments that were included as conditions of approval. And again, staff's analysis of this is that the applicant is proposing to create 12 lots. And for the purposes of layout plan, staff finds no significant issues with the applicant's request and recommends approval of layout plan 20-24 with conditions.
Have a motion or discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Roskinek.
I know the area, and, I think the 5-acre lots, that's fine. I just wanted to point out that there was a letter of contention from Judge Schreier, who's an adjacent landowner, and I just wondered, did we ever get back with her on her questions relative to she wanted 10 acres or larger, which would be consistent with what Jim Skull did, and neighbors to the north?
I would have to defer that to Brittany. She's the one that was working the staff report. I would have to ask her if she's made contact with any of the neighbors.
Brittany, did you hear Roskinek's question?
I did, and to answer that, at this time right now, the future land use for that property is ranchette, which would allow that 5-acre minimum lot size.
Madam Chair.
Well, that's fine. I just wondered if anybody got back with Karen relative to her question or concern.
I did not know.
Okay, that was my question.
Thank you. Commissioner LaCroix.
I would make a motion to approve.
Motion by LaCroix to approve.
Second.
Second by Roskinek. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Jason, item B, please.
See if my slides want to work. Agenda item B is layout plan 20-26. The applicant is Walter Jensen, and he has requested this layout plan in order to subdivide 1 lot and create lots 1A and 1B of Columbus South subdivision. As the property sits today, it is limited agriculture district with a PUD overlay. That PUD was approved in October of 2008 to allow a specialty resort for a bed and breakfast as well as events. That PUD was also amended in 2009 to allow up to 50 more guests. The property is 20 acres, takes access off of Nemo Road. It's located in an area of undetermined flood hazard, Zone D. It contains a single-family residence, a pole barn, 2 on-premise signs, and a permitted on-site wastewater treatment system. The proposed lots, Lot 1A highlighted in blue on the screen, will be 17 acres. Will continue to be limited agriculture district with a PUD overlay, which meets a 10-acre minimum lot size. Will continue to take access off Nemo Road, continue to be located in an area of undetermined flood hazard, contains a single-family residence, a pole barn, 2 on-premise signs, as well as the on-site wastewater treatment system. Lot 1B will be 3 acres, that's identified in green on the screen above. Future land use is rural ranchette, which carries a 5-acre minimum lot size. Access will be off of Nemo Road, but will require a platted access easement through proposed Lot 1A. It is also located in an area of undetermined flood hazard area, and it is vacant of any structures. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. County Highway and the floodplain manager both had comments on it. County Highway stated that both lots 1A and 1B must use the existing approach off of Nemo Road, and existing drainage ways must be maintained.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews, please.
Josh, tell me, what does it mean when it says undetermined flood hazard? I thought FEMA went through, I thought they mapped everything.
So they came through and studied a large portion of Pennington County, but there are portions of the county that remain unstudied. This is just one of those areas. As you can see, Box Elder Creek does run through the property. If you can see here on the screen, goes through both of the proposed lots. I think prior to any building permits that are submitted for future development, we're going to require that they submit some sort of flood data, some kind of study for it, for property protection.
Flood data and elevation, I presume?
Correct. Yep. We'd like to have a surveyor go out there, and that's actually one of the recommendations that we have as a condition of approval.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Roskinek.
Jason, the lot, the 3-acre lot, how did they arrive at that conceptual drawing and get 3 acres? I'm just curious, how could that be 2.5 or could it be 3.2?
It very well could be. He drew that in there when he came in to apply for it. So it's a layout plan. It's just a kind of a concept at this point. So moving forward with the preliminary plat, he's going to be required to have a professional engineer draw it out for him.
Well, that's why I wanted the schematic of the process, so it'd be easy to answer these questions.
Right.
Thank you. Do we have a motion, please?
Move for approval.
Second.
Croy, second by Roskinek. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item C.
Good morning, Stephanie Jansen, Planner 1.
Morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Bless you.
Item C is Layout Plan LPL 2027 for Keith and Lona Lau. On August 24th, 2020, the applicants applied for a layout plan to subdivide Lot 5 of the Lau subdivision into 2 lots, creating Lot 5R and Lot 6. The purpose of the subdivision is to have a lot for their son to live on. As it sits today, the existing lot is zoned low-density residential and contains a farm utility building. In addition to the farm utility building, a manufactured home with attached garage and covered patio and a prefabricated storage shed. There is no flood hazard area. The approach for both lots will be off of High Seeker Road. Proposed Lot 5R will be 3.32 acres plus or minus, and proposed Lot 6 would be 1 acre plus or minus. The 1 acre lot would have to either be rezoned or they would have to obtain a lot size variance due to the 1 acre lot not meeting our future land use, which is low density residential. During the Planning Commission meeting on September 28th, 2020, a water situation was brought up. I kind of wanted to go over that. In the past, this lot was subdivided into 5 separate lots. Lot 2 and Lot 3 are less than 1 acre. So the South Dakota State statute states that the minimum size to install and operate a septic system is 1 acre. So they had to connect to the community water. With that being said, staff is recommending to add a condition stating if the proposed Lot 6 is under 1 acre, that they connect to community water. Other than that, staff found no significant issues with applicant's request, and staff does recommend approval of layout plan LPL 2027.
Questions or motion? Commissioner LaCroix.
Stephanie, when I was reviewing this, I was looking at it, you know, the access, it says that they're going to access on the existing approach. Are they going to do a legal easement so for that road to go there? Because I know it's family right now, but, and I seen that was one of the conditions, but I just wanted to double check on that.
Yes, they would have to, and it's in the conditions of approval.
Under the condition will be legal, so when it sells later on.
We don't run into any issues.
Thank you. That was my main concern on this one.
So bottom line, on the prelim plan, or is it final plat that they show that that easement has been documented? Do you know, Jace?
So it'll be on both, the preliminary and the final.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Roskinek?
so this will be rezoned to suburban residential?
They would either need to rezone it or get a lot size variance.
But the zoning for a 1 acre lot would be suburban residential?
Not if we give it a variance.
Yes, correct. But we are also changing our zoning at the moment, so it may be different at that time.
Yeah, my question was the yellow shading is suburban residential.
Oh, the yellow is low density residential.
Right.
Close, it's 3 acre minimum.
Yellow is low density, suburban is
Oh,
orange.
excuse me, low density.
Yes, sir.
My fault.
Correct,
sir.
you're good.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Moved by LaCroy,
Second.
second by Roskinek. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Jason Fennison, County Planner. Agenda item D is Layout Plan 20-28. The applicant is Preston Family Incorporated. The agent is John Preston. Surveyor is Anderson Engineering. The applicant, John Preston, is requesting to subdivide approximately 577 acres into 114 lots. The lot sizes will range from 3.5 acres to 14 acres. The plan is to develop in 3 different phases, as you can see on the screen. Phase 1 will be the highlighted section in green. Phase 2 will consist of 40 lots highlighted in pink, and Phase 3 will consist of 37 lots highlighted in blue above. 11 lots are located in Custer County and will take access off of roads within the subdivision portion located in Pennington County. As it sits today, for ease of description, I've broken up the tax parcels into Lot A, B, and C. All of the lots are currently zoned General Agriculture District. Future land use is agriculture. It is located in a possible but undetermined flood hazard area, Zone D. Lot A consists of 116.91 acres, takes access off of Murphy Road or South Highway 79. The lot contains a barn, a loafing shed, a greenhouse, and a shed. Lot B in the center section there is 278.53 acres, also takes access off of Shore Road and South Highway 79, and is currently vacant of any structures. And lastly, Lot C, identified in blue up there, is 181.39 acres, access is off of Shore Road and Highway 79, and is also vacant of any structures. Proposed lots in Phase 1, which is again the green at the bottom, lots 1 through 37. Lots will range in size from approximately 3 acres to 8 acres. Lot size variance or rezone will be required for all of these lots. Phase 2 in pink, lots 38 through lot 77. These lots will range in size again from approximately 3 to 8 acres. And again, a lot size variance or rezone will be required for these lots. And lastly, Phase 3, lot 78 through 114. These lots will range in size from 3 acres to 14 acres, and a lot size variance or rezone will be required for all but one of these lots. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review, County Highway, the Environmental Planner, Emergency Services, Register of Deeds, South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources, as well as Black Hills Electric Co-op. All have submitted comments that are included as conditions of approval. Staff's analysis of the request is that a rezone will be required to allow for further subdivision of the subject properties. And also, due to very limited soil types, shale in particular, staff is recommending a community drain field or lagoon system to serve the subdivision. Murphy and Shore roads are 20-foot wide gravel roads maintained by Pennington County Highway. And for the purposes of layout plan, staff finds no significant issues with the applicant's request and recommends approval of layout plan 20-28 with the following condition, or with conditions. One admin note on those conditions: it looks like there's a numbering error. So there's actually 34 conditions and not 35.
Madam
Jason,
Chair.
one thing, Drew, Commissioner Drews first, please. Did, on the ordinance 14 standards, we said 24-foot roads? Are 20-foot roads, are they supposed to be 24-foot?
Right. I know during the planning commission meeting that was discussed and the applicants were going to get with county highway to discuss that. I don't know
Okay,
if they
so
ever
this
did. I would
is-
ask them to come up and speak to that though.
Okay, is the applicant here?
I thought they would be, but it doesn't look like they are.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews, you're first.
Does Joe have an answer for that?
Joe, do you have an answer for it?
Yeah, the applicant did come in here, what, month and a half ago?
Yes.
And we discussed what we would require, and that was the ordinance 14 standards, and I believe 20 foot is a minimum road top for ordinance 14 with 2 foot ditches, 4 to 1 in slopes and 3 to 1 back slopes.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Drews first, then DeSanto. Commissioner Drews.
Jason, the question on it, I know that this goes over the county line, but you indicated that these plan to be done in phases. So do you know if on the phase one, which is the green as I understand it, is that being done in conjunction with that portion of it in Custer County?
Yes. Yep. That's in.
So the community drain field, would that be for the entire development? Is that what we're
That's
talking?
what staff is recommending, that they implement a community lagoon system. Whether the developer does that or not is kind of up to them.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
So DeSanto, just one thing so you guys know. At the Planning Commission, we had extensive discussion on water, drain fields, basically sewer, and roads. And bottom line is that we didn't want another phase one, phase two, phase three, no second access, no roads being done, kind of like the phases, because I personally said I'm not into phasing any developments at this point unless you're gonna put in surety for the roads that need to be followed, because there is no second outlet if they start in phase, the green phase. And we all agreed that surety needed to be posted, and we did give the developer heads up. That way that road could be built no matter what, and don't put a timeline. You got 2 years or whatever, because what happens is then that surety goes away in 2 years, and then it means nothing. So when they do the surety, it needs to be done differently, so those roads are built ahead of time and not later. Because what happens, we already know, we do phase one, we run out of money, or we're not really selling those lots. So phase two and phase three that actually were supposed to be asphalted and things that's supposed to be done never happened because there was no surety, there was no bond on them.
I just want to correct myself. I did misspeak. The ordinance 14 is a 24-foot road top, 2 11-foot driving lanes with 1 foot shoulders. So,
Okay, thank you. Commissioner DeSanto.
Joe, you can come back up anyway. So Custer County Highway is recommending that they do pave Shorb Road.
There's 2 roads in there without trying to interrupt you. Shorb and, what's the other one?
Murphy.
Murphy. And,
Shorb is only in Custer County. That's why it's so.
and would you be recommending the same for Murphy?
So Murphy and Shorb. So we have Shorb in Pennington County. For Murphy and Shorb, we are recommending paving both of those roads.
Okay.
Due to the amount of traffic, 114 lots is going to put. They say about 9 trips per day per household is an average nationwide. So it's going to put at Murphy up there where the collector comes up there, you're going to put it about 1,000. Saying half goes one way, half goes the other way. You're about 500 probably. So our rule of thumb is anything over about 400 cars a day. It costs more to maintain the gravel than it does and you can pave it and maintain it for a lot less. So,
So my question is these haven't been included in the conditions that we want these roads paved?
yeah, they are.
If you look at the bottom, way at the end,
19 and 20,
yeah.
condition 19 and 20.
And it
I
also,
also
32
believe.
Yeah, excuse me. Number 32 also prior to completion of Phase 2, Murphy Road must be improved to asphalt and surface, that goes up to Shore Road.
Yeah.
If you read the rest, that's where we added that.
Okay, very
And
good.
then, let me ask a question too, if I could. What's that surety need to be, to make sure it covers, basically those two roads or things that are happening in that development? How do we figure that, Jason? I mean, do you ask the highway department? Do you ask other entities if you have to do a lagoon later or
I
something
believe
else?
we do get an estimate from the county highway
Yeah.
in this regard.
And we do have one put together. The developer asked for that. When we met with him a month and a half, 2 months ago, he asked for us to put an estimate together of what it would cost. We had one of our engineering techs put that together. I don't recall exactly what that number was, but I think it's around $1 million to pave both of those roads.
Because the soil condition out there is horrific. We know that from Black Gap. So some of that stuff needs to be covered in a way, and I don't know legally what we could do for water and drainage and all the other things for surety or to make sure those things are done properly. Because bottom line is, we already know from Black Gap as an example from that area, that the sewage has issues, the water has issues, that kind of thing. So we just want to prepare for what could happen. We also are preparing to be straight up with the developer at those costs that we believe are going to, make that development so it works for Pennington County. So it works for both sides.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Ross Connect.
Jason, speaking of Black Gap, what do they got for septic systems or sanitary
There's a
sewer?
mix of conventional systems as well as mound systems.
Okay.
Some of those lots just don't support a conventional system.
I'm just looking at this number 2. It says due to the number of lots, which I think that's a lot of lots for that area, for that density. But it says that they suggest or recommend a lagoon or community system. Is recommend a strong enough word?
I don't think so.
I would say they will put a lagoon system in.
Okay. Yep.
That's just a
I would
suggestion.
defer to
This
Brittany
scares
for
me a
her.
little bit.
Yeah, I would defer to Brittany for her input on that as a.
I don't like the word
environmental-
recommend.
Because as Deb's pointing out, that soil type can't handle individual
Right.
septics, no way.
So Brittany, can you answer that for us? We're talking about the septic systems and the soil conditions. Is it a good thing to put they will put, or do you have something that could prove otherwise by percolation or anything else that they could use that we could be satisfied that that septic would be safe out there?
So I did talk to the developer about that. They do have an opportunity to do some profile holes on some of those lots out there to show that their soils are conducive of a conventional or mound systems. With the geology and the soil maps, I think it's going to be difficult to even prove through site-specific soil profile and percolation tests, just from my experience with the soils out there. But they are given that opportunity. I think there is a condition in there that says that if they can show that that's possible, but I think it's going to be difficult.
Okay, so do you, we'd like to put they will put in, should we wait to do that? Or should we be up straight with the developer that we would like to see a lagoon system? Because I know you had said something about it before.
I think at this juncture, I think giving them the opportunity to at least try the profile hole, I think at the preliminary plan process, I think that condition could change based on more information.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner LaCroix.
I agree with Brittany. This is just a at the planning stage or the dream stage, and them want to waste some money doing, or I wouldn't say waste, if they want to test the ground and get to confirm where it needs to be, it's going to come back to us again. I will say, the planning commission, I'm pleased to see the sureties put into here for those road improvements. I mean, that's something I like to see, and that was one of the things that stuck out when I was reviewing this, and to have those roads improved. But I think with all the conditions, they have a road map to work with to get things going and investigate and look. And so I think, as we just had our our study session, this is just a guide so far, and we got chances after this to change and gives the applicant some other stuff to try and test and see where they want to bring back. and
Correct,
try.
you'll see the preliminary plat.
Yes.
I see you didn't show up today, so would you scare him away?
Madam Chair. Jason, have you done a site inspection to this land?
I
Have
have
you
not been
personally
out
been
there
to the site?
personally. I don't know if Brittany has or not.
Brittany, have you been out to this site?
I have not been out to the site for this reason, but I have been out to the area. There is a lot of exposed shale. There is another, we have another profile hole on a property that's directly abutting this, and that profile hole was completely shale, and it did require a bound system.
I guess my suggestion would be is that as we go through the process, that we do site inspections and if there's a profile hole, that your department looks at it and analyzes it and gives us an opinion if it's suitable for a septic system, a self-contained septic system. I'm still scared of that soil type out there.
Thank you. And this is the layout plan, so this is the plan, and we did give heads up at the Planning Commission to the developers on all these conditions and what we would like to see. And as a commissioner, gave my point of view as well from what we've seen in the past and what we'd like to see for good development on phases through the future. So just reiterating some of the things that you guys have said as commissioners and concerns we've had in the past. So again, this is the plan, and then they do have to come to us with the preliminary plat. So
Madam Chair,
Commissioner LaCroix.
I'd move approval with 34 conditions.
Move by LaCroix.
34, correct, not 35?
That's correct.
Yes, sir. We have a second. Second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. One thing, Jason, I brain fart. Joe Miller, our superintendent, said it was 24 instead of 20, so maybe that could be changed on that condition.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right?
Okay, Cody Sack, Environmental Planner. Item E is road construction within a section line right-of-way. It's to construct a road within a section line right-of-way to provide access to property. The applicants are H&H Land Company number 2, Brian Hemmerbeck. He is in the audience if there's any questions. They're looking to open up about approximately 1,400 feet of several different section lines. The proposed road will mostly meet ordinance 14 standards. They're looking at waiving 4 inches of gravel and to not submit engineered road plans. The road, there's only one section of the road that is actually going to run through the section line. It's up here, and the rest of them are just going to cross the section line. Highway Department's comments were that the portions that crossed the section line were fine for the 4 inches, but they'd still like to see the 4 inches or the 6 inches in the part that actually runs with the section line. And they are okay with waiving the engineered road plans. The only other real comment came back from Emergency Services, which would like to see the roads named. The applicant has been informed of that and is going to work with TED and Emergency Services to get those roads named. The roads are going to be constructed to access property in the future for future development. With future zoning, the lot size can go down to 10 acres. The road will take access off of Antelope Creek at the section line between section 13 and 24. They have applied for a stormwater permit, and staff's recommending approval with 9 conditions.
You have a motion? Moved by LaCroix.
Second.
Second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Okay.
For F,
Item F is a request to waive engineered road construction plans and to have the gravel depth of 4 inches instead of 6 inches.
Move for approval. Second.
okay, there's been a motion by DeSanto, second by LaCroix. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Cody. Item 22 is the public. Anybody wish to speak from the public today? Nobody? Okay. Yes,
Fairgrounds, Governor Nome.
come up here, sir.
$1.2 million that she's got to spend by the end of October.
Okay.
Maybe that money's available for some of the 100,000.
Right. We're
So,
hoping. That's what we're
I
gonna
think
look
that's
into.
what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your help on our stuff today.
Have a good day, sir. Item 23 is executive session, personnel SDCL 1-25-2-1. And then there's an annual department head review and contractual pending litigation SDCL 1-25-2-3. Do we have a motion,
moved.
please? Motion by Drews, second by DeSanto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. I'm gonna tell you one.
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
Where's John?
Didn't get in soup.
He's in eating.
He finally quit waiting for us.
But we can vote on that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Whew. Because then I have to go to the friggin' auction thing.
10 times worse.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Does it get, does that mean
Because
we
they're
get
not gonna
cheaper?
wanna drive on a paved road.
What?
If he cut it before, if he gets it cut beforehand, do we get it cheaper?
And you know what, Gary told me that last week. And that bad thing about it is I didn't pick up on it. Gary says, what's gonna happen?
We talked about that about 2 months ago.
Have you returned from executive session?
We already came out of. Go ahead, John, for the motions.
Commissioners, John Morrow, Pennington County Human Resources. I have 3 motions I'd like to recommend. The first one is for 2 employees in the law enforcement within the Sheriff's Department. One is for Staff Assistant Lisa Bellew, back pay approval for 80 hours at 50 cents an hour for a total of $40. The second one that goes with that is Deputy Sheriff Holt Bearden, 80 hours at 63 cents an hour for a total of $50.40.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by DeSanto, second by Ross Connect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next one is to approve a pay increase for Deb Schubauer within the Treasurer's Department effective November 1st, changing her hourly rate from $12.81 to $12.96.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. The third that I'd recommend is that we approve the State Attorney's Office, give them the approval to hire Attorney Roxanne Hammond at an annualized salary of $81,473.60. That would bring her in at grade 23, step 7.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Thank you,
motion
Commissioners.
carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.